Good morning, everyone. It's 23rd January 2017, and this is another episode of ProAMT Traders Digest. Let me go through the disclaimer first. Trading in stocks derivatives involves substantial risk of loss and not suitable for all investors. Past or simulated performance is not a guarantee of future results. All systems, indicators, strategies shown here are for education purpose only. All levels discussed here are for understanding the study and not a recommendation to trade. Please consult your personal financial advisor before making any investment or trade decision based on anything that is discussed here. We will not be responsible for any resulting profits or losses. So let's have a look at what Nifty did through the week. 16th January Monday, gap down open, which was bought into, and then we can see a rally into the highs. Tuesday again got sold off, came to the lows, but if you can see, all absorption seen when it reaches the lower range. So basically what was happening is it is in this balance of 11th November. I think that is 11th November. Yes. So in the balance of 11th November throughout the week, and I was expecting a push above 8465 to see what's there above that 8465, and finally we got that on 18th. We got a push above that 8465. We had a high of 8468.95, and from there it got sold off. Comes to the fair price. If you can see, this was the fair price. 84113 kind of zone was the fair price of 11th November, and tries to bounce back up, makes a high of 8454 and opens gap up on 20th, gets sold off. Now it leaves this VAL of that 11th November balance. So what we'll do is, if today it is trading continuously below this point, it is trading below 838, 8285 zone, and in case it tries to reach towards 8410 to 8415 and falls back below that 8385 zone, what we'll do is we'll draw a fresh balance into this zone, so that instead of 8465, the VH will contract towards somewhere 8440, and the VL would contract towards 8400 kind of zone. Now there is the monthly VWAP is at 8331, and we are trading like just 31 points away from that. So in case it gets into that 8331, I would be looking again for a buy, and there is a gap just beneath that, and the gap mid somewhere in the 8311 zone. So a very important demand zone. Though now the short term and intermediate term trend have turned down, and even the long term might turn down if there is no effort to push back up, and also if the effort to push back up fails, then the long term would be trending down. And long term for me means for a few weeks, not for a few months or years. Also, if we see, if we are counting this balance on the volume composite and have calculated this week, included this week in that balance, The point of control, the volume point of control has not budged from here. And if you can see, there was a ferrous price here at 8414, but the current volume composite is developing, the ferrous price is developing into the 8408 zone. So the smart money is accepting the prices just lower than what they had accepted on 11th November. That is another sign, a very minute and a very tiny nuance, but very important when the market is trying to push into a defined supply zone. Now, while we are here, let's also see what can we expect in terms of the weekly projected high and low. So the weekly projected high is at 8474 and the projected low is at 8251. So last week stayed within that. And if we can see, the weekly median range is dropping down since the week of November 16. The second week, the weekly range is continuously dropping down slowly, and the weekly CCI is reaching the negative territory. It's at minus 10 now, and the turbo CCI had gone above 100 and it's reversing back. So this is also a sign of a short, intermediate and long-term trend. And though this weekly bar went above, but so has made a higher high and we have a higher low. So still one time framing on the weekly. On the daily, we have a projected range of 8399 and 8326, which also matches with what we are expecting for Monday. So need to keep these levels in mind. And overall, a nice balance for around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days and a breakdown from that balance. Though it has not gone down below this short covering profile, almost the mid of this short covering. Below that, expected to first find some demand into these lows near 8325, 8330, and then try to go into the VH of this balance, 8295 zone. So now let's have a look at what happened on Friday. So on Friday, let's have a look. Open below the ferrous price within the range. Sorry, I was looking at this. Open below the low of Thursday. It was a tick which like went fast. And I was expecting a open somewhere at the lower range, but it opened outside of range, instantly pushed into the range. The push did not go above the ferrous price and repaired these anomalies and started contracting. It was not even breaking the previous day low, but in that course it became weaker. If we can see the lows getting stacked like a ledge. So it will try to break out and find if it can get any sellers at the highs, because the auction is seeking sellers by going higher. G period breaks into this HVN and finds immediate selling, comes back to the developing POC and then gets sold off in a very emotional spike. Now the POC has not shifted. We have a very prominent POC at 8418. It has not shifted. And then one time framing down till L period, but the range was contracting. And if you can see this, the close is also the fairest price of this lower balance. If you can see, this is a long liquidation from the high period and the close into the fairest price of that long liquidation break. 8349, which was the fairest price of this elongated profile, is still intact. So would like to see what happens when it pushes below this. On the 1 minute, this push into that previous day's range created a balance throughout and a break from that balance with a spike. So if you can see, the spikes got the buyers when it broke this range. If you can see, the order flow went positive and instantly goes negative when it reaches the highs. So sellers taking their due advantage and selling off. The delta goes negative, and all of a sudden a huge selling coming in, getting absorbed once, but again the selling continues. And finally, when it reaches the lows, a bit of short covering. The shorts which are covering in profits, because the buyers coming at the lows, till they are not pushing the price outside this range, we cannot assume them as active buyers. The buyers can be higher in numbers, but till they are not able to move the auction higher, we cannot consider them active. They are passive buyers or buyers buying or covering their shorts. So this stopping volume didn't materialize. I was trying a buy into this test when there was no supply, but it was again and again getting resisted into this 8375 zone. So left that idea of getting long even for intraday. Now the auction is in complete imbalance and we have there is a channeled move here. So any break from this channel and going above 8376, I would expect that it would reach 838790 and even test this selling tail from where this all the chaos started. And if we see the VWAP from the highs, it is at 8412, so which matches with that fairest price, which is at 8418. Let's have a look at the 15-minute. Not much activity into this. The sellers getting stuck outside the range here, and then huge buyers coming in, running to get into a buy mode above the initial balance high, but getting sold off. So we have a failed auction, an immediate push back into the IB. So we have a failed auction at the highs. Need to see now these failed auction of IBs, and that too, like it's within the previous day's range and within a huge balance. So for me, this doesn't matter much, because failed auction is this where it tries to go above the range and fails. This entire area has failed to accept higher. So I would give importance to these zones rather than giving importance to one price and just one move. Now let's see what happened on the Renko. So opening swing, breaks higher and a very symmetric move, a zigzag higher with a bit of balance, getting confused at the day mid, but finally comes down in an impulse, tries to push back. Now this pullback was not much. A second impulse, the impulse getting shorter gave me a hint that maybe the sellers are getting exhausted. But when I saw this zipper happening and this failure gave me a hint that now we are, if you can see, there is a zipper here. This breakout should have turned into an impulse into the day mid. When it's not able to do that, when it fails and reaches this zipper mid, I would think that is a support which is broken, and I would just immediately exit my longs, because I don't want to commit any risk after I'm getting a hint that this auction doesn't want to go up. Now what happened is again a small zipper here and tries to push into that zipper mid, fails, and then continue its move down, but in a very sideways choppy manner, which is now this created a huge volume into this zone and the VPOC shifted down. So we have two nice balances on the volume. So this being the fair price of the upper balance, the VPOC here and the VPOC here, with a huge HVN at 8186. So that's an important zone going forward. Now let's see the scenarios for today. Let me just get my pen to mark. So let me change the color to yellow and let's draw a line. So this would be the zone where it might push here or into this. So I would give a bit of importance to this zone first and then this zone. So any push into this, I'm expecting that in a zigzag way it reaches here, fails, and then starts its move down into the fairest price again. If it opens gap down, if it opens anywhere below the previous day's range, then I'm first expecting that it tests 8345 kind of zone, pushes back into the point of control, and then starts its move down. If it gets acceptance here, then this zone would again act as a resistance, reach here, fail, come back here, again fail, start its move down, gets accepted, start moving up in this symmetrical way. So that is what we can expect for today. In case it pushes above 8418, 8420 zone, then I'm expecting that it will push through this 8435 zone and look for any sellers there. Any push into 8445, I would be cautious. I would look what the sellers can get there. If we get sellers, then we push back down with immediate selling into the 8390 zone. And in case we accept higher, the trend short term and intermediate term also changes and starts moving up in above the 8500 zone. So that is the broader expectation, and these pullbacks and impulses that I have drawn is the likely scenario for today. Now let's have a look at Bank Nifty weekly first. So Bank Nifty opens continues the trend it had established the previous week, keeps on going higher and goes into the, if you remember, we were talking about 19,050 crossing, and that happened, but that once that supply was crossed with a push, if you can see this push above 19,065 is an initiative push. Sorry, getting volume push into this, going higher. When it gets rejected, look how it comes back into that zone and loses all the supply. It is testing the supply here but not able to stay below 19,065. When it's not able to do that, the probability is it will create a balance because this was a very thinly traded zone and then decide where to go. Now it can very well push down into this and start its move towards 18925. But what happened is it covered the value in one half hour period and then forms a balance at the highs, a lot of supply coming in here and finally breaks down. Now gets support of the developing value area high, the developing value area high of this micro composite, and then starts its move down slowly into the ferrous price, again goes down to check the value area low, but with a gap down. If you can see this, it's below this. Once it enters into this balance zone, it tries to push back up but fails and then covers that balance zone in one day. And now it has closed into just at the edge of the lower balance 18860. If we start moving down 18760 and then we have this zone to deal with, it enters the lower balance, which is a very big zone. So till that is protected, I'm not expecting any huge moves down into this till it's trading above 18750 kind of zone. The monthly VWAP is at 18600, might get a push there below 750 and we'll see what it does there. Now it had gone, the standard deviation bands have expanded and the VWAP is continuously rising. It has gone it has reached above where it started in December, but still the price reached above the closing VWAP of November, but the VWAP has not pulled up. The monthly developing VWAP has not pulled up. There is a huge HVN above at 18304, so you can take a 10 points here and there, and a LVN into the 19304, excuse me, sorry for that, and 19200 we have a huge LVN, so it gets rejected from there. And we have a HVN here at 19028.025, and then again a major LVN here into the 18760 zone. So expect that LVN to act as a support for a while, and then we'll see what it does there. Now if you can see this, the range was way just controlled and almost into the 1 sigma, but the volume pushed above the 2 sigma in this fall. Now while we are here, let's have a look at the weekly projected highs and lows. So in the previous week, we had pushed through the weekly projected high, so there were no chances to do the low. This time it reaches the projected high just short of that and then gets sold off. So these are important levels to create like option selling, to create positions in option selling. And on the projected high for this week, we have 19208 as a projected high and 18507 as the projected low. And again, the weekly median range has been contracting, has reached 700 points. It had reached a high of almost 722 points. So overall, the Bank Nifty range has expanded quite a bit throughout the year. A lot of volatility throughout the year, slowly expanding. The range has expanded throughout 2016. If it was below 700 and now it's again now cooling down towards that zone. So on a yearly basis, we are almost like at the median range which was there in the beginning of 2016. Again, the weekly CCI coming just below the zero zone, and the turbo is trying to go sideways above the 100 mark and might might reverse. The turbo might reverse somewhere into this zone. Now let's see the daily range as well. The daily expected range is 18,975 to 18,739. So again, that matches with our support which we are expecting through the week, but this is just for the day. On the daily range, there was a dip in the median and then around 240 points of daily range. And if you can see, the CCI had got overbought and is returning. It's returned from 200, went below 100 and now trying to reach towards the zero zone. So expecting the fall to push into this zone and then maybe continue towards the weekly projected low. Let's have a look at the daily profile of Friday. So, sorry. Open below the previous day range, a very nice balance was there on the previous day, and tries to push up, tries to push down, creates a opening swing, creates a nice short, a nice long liquidation profile here. Getting confused with the words. And then again a spike down, looked like a failed auction, but then again the D period breaks down, pushes back in, tries to go towards the day's open. Now not getting anything above the day's open. The sellers are reacting as soon as it reaches the day's open. And if we can see, this elongated profile had a fairest price here because this is a balance. So the fairest price of Friday is almost into that price. So we have left this zone, left this entire zone and trading lower, and finally this breakdown into the I period and not much of a balance into the lower zone. So not a long liquidation into like a similar like Nifty, but in that course it pushes through this balance, and now we need to see whether it wants to repair all these anomalies. Too many anomalies on 11.1. So maybe it continues down. First we would expect the repair of this 18,775 and then reach into the 18,740. This single print is at the expected projected low. So let's see if it can make to that and then find buyers in that zone. Let's have a look at the 1 minute. So it tries to there's a lot of selling coming in. If you see at the highs, creates a balance, gets some buying when it breaks from that balance, but when it pushes into this balance, if you can see, then it's again getting sellers and then again pushes into that balance. But see, every time it's pushing into the balance, it's staying below the fair price, and a huge sideways move, gets bought into, tries to push back up, but selling coming into this rise. And see, the problem with if somebody was using moving averages, it would get into a buy mode and then get into a sell mode. So it's all whipsaws if we don't know what value is doing. What value was doing here is we still have an open POC of the opening and we had this VAH of this balance. So this gives us an advantage that when it pushes into that, we know that we need to see whether it's getting any buying support above that or not. And the average price was trading lower this band, the maroon and gray band. When it's positive, chances are it will push higher, and the negative, chances are it pushes lower. we get a spike into that zone. The spike gets sellers, and as soon as it, see, if you can see, there is a no demand here when it tries to push into that spike low and then fails and pushes down. Very emotional spike here, but order flow goes continuously negative. If you can see, not much volume, but continuous negative order flow starting from the highs, and then finally only towards the end, after 15, so around 3:15, the orders are getting covered, the intraday orders are getting, so anyone who shorted here or maybe shorted into this lows, they are getting covered. This cannot be expected as initiative buying. Now let's have a look at the 15 minutes chart. A lot of buying, emotional buying into this highs, and then gets a lot of buying when it breaks the low. So that buying and the sellers getting stuck at the lows made it push into the highs, and the moment it goes there, the buyers getting very emotional, very confused, doji close of that 15 minutes, and then finally the sellers take over. The buyers coming at every point but not able to hold, and then finally the push down, getting buying support and closes into the fair price of this lower balance. There is a lot of volume generated here, similarly like Nifty did, volume balance here and a balance in the lower side. Now let's have a look at the rotations to figure out how the day had shaped up. So a lot of rotations, lot of rotations. Opening swing, high is protected. Goes into impulse up, but fails. Comes to the day mid, failures at the day mid, and a zipper. Now when this zipper happens and there is an impulse down, we again sell any move into the day mid. So when it pushed into the day mid again, then a huge impulse down, tries to push back up. Now see, this impulse is still not reached the 50% of this huge impulse. Then slowly the impulses start getting smaller, but slowly and gradually reaches down, sideways move, creating a balance, and then break from that balance and then push back up. So a confused move into this zone, and then when it reaches into impulse, is not able to then create any push down. We would like to exit the shorts into this zipper. Obviously we cannot know that here, we cannot know that it will not push down, so we are still just holding on. But when we get hints from the order flow and the rotation up, we try to get out of the shorts. Now let's see what we can expect for today. So a very important zone here as the pullback happened here, and another important zone is this. This is a, because see, the here it pulled back here, so, and the day mid is just below. So I would consider the day mid and 5 points here and there as a important zone. If it opens somewhere into this zone near the highest volumes, near the VPOC, I expect a push up above 18,900, fail, come back to this VPOC, try to push up, and then continue its move down, break the lows and get into the 18,750 zone. maybe in a zigzag move here, but finally get into the 750 zone. If it tries to push into the 40 below the 740 zone, then I'm expecting further down move even after any pullbacks. In case it opens in the range and tries to push up and accepts into the above 18900, then I am expecting a push up higher into 18950 960 zone. Try to reject from there and fall back down into the fairest price, and if it doesn't reject, then continue its move up into the 19020 zone. Any push above 19020 would invite 19100 zones. So that is the likely scenario. Even if it opens gap down, then I would continue with this scenario in this pattern as well. So any gap down below this and pushes into the range, then it will follow this scenario. Any gap up from the close but into the range would follow either of these scenarios. So we should be prepared for everything that might happen, but this is like depending upon the open, we are looking at what it might want to do. The auction would generally do all these behaviors in a very routine, normal way with some whipsaws coming in between, but that we can make out from the whips, from the rotation size and the impulsive and rotational moves. The intent here is to just show you how the auction works and not to show you the trading levels or give you the stop losses and targets. So I think that's all for today's digest. It went on a bit longer because we had to do a weekly review. Hope you all watch it and keep the reference levels handy on your charts as well. Thanks much for being there and watching, and we'll catch up tomorrow.